Hi, welcome to Jared Hood Sports with Blaze. Say hello. We're not going to get a hello. Hello, Jared Hood Sports. Thank you for watching. Going to do a reaction video on the Sixers. So, pretty numb since Game 5. Game 5 was just, that was that terrible comeback where Sixers were up like 27 there. Game 4, they were up 16. So, it was pretty much numb after those two games. Game 7, though, a little quick talk about that, a little breakdown with that. At some point, Game 7, let me talk about the series first before I talk about Game 7. If Embiid was healthy, the series wouldn't even have been close. And Embiid would have averaged 50, and they would have destroyed the Hawks. I don't think this would have even been a competition. I genuinely feel that way. Injuries are a part of sports. That's not an excuse. Sixers still should have won the series even with Embiid's injury. They still were the better team the entire time, it felt like. And they still lost the series. So Embiid's health. Number two for me for the series, not the Sixers not winning the series, was Doc Rivers. I get it. We'll talk about Ben and Tobias in a second, but to me, the second biggest thing other than Embiid's injuries was by far Doc Rivers. I think I hate this. I was fooled, man. I was fooled. I thought before the season, coaching doesn't matter all that much in the NBA. I mean, look what the Sixers did with Brett Brown. Look at what LeBron's done his whole career. And no offense to the coaches that he's won with, because there's some great legendary coaches there. There's some also David Blatt coaches in there that I made it to the finals. Not a good. I mean, come on. So again, NBA coaching, I was like, doesn't mean anything. Doc Rivers comes in, and it was instantly everyone. The offense seemed better. Everyone's better. Tobias is more clutch. Everything. I mean, the whole regular season, like this team was 1,000 times better than they were in any regular season under Brett Brown. Awesome. Embiid looks dominant the way he should. Awesome. Is that a combination of him getting to that point in his prime, health, I mean, everything coming together? I think it's part of that as much as Doc Rivers. But I was like, man, I was wrong. Coaching in the NBA matters. Doc Rivers came in, made everything better. Sixers are going to be a legit title contending team. Da 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 da. Even against Washington, and I know they won the series in 5, but there was still things where Doc Rivers was doing, and we're all just kind of like, all right. But the thing for me, the Game 5, the thing where they're winning by so many that he didn't want to put Max in because Maxi's not a good defensive player. He's an offensive player. But they gave up the lead, and Maxi still never saw the floor. And again, that probably just proves that even if you're up 27, you can still put in the guys who can score on your second unit, because you still should score some points while you're stopping the other team, because the other team wasn't going to pull out their starters. It's almost like the whole 7th or 8th inning up by 10 run rule, don't swing for a home run type thing. Well, the other team's not going to stop, right? So, like, the Sixers didn't swing for the fences, and they had the opportunity to make it a 15-run game instead of a 10-run game, and baseball analogy, they lost. Just, I thought that was egregious. I thought playing, 10 or 11 guys in Game 7? I mean, what are you doing? What do you, like, you need the whole second unit out there in games. You need the entire second, George Hill and everything. I like George Hill. I really respect him as a player. Great career. Not good since he joined the Sixers. It just is what it is. He just hasn't been good since he joined the Sixers. Had some moments, been a little bit fun, but not good. Not necessarily good. Nothing of value. Nothing I think any of us would be like, you know what? Give him some pretty big minutes in Game 7. Like, not, and I get, again, we'll talk about Ben in a second, but there's other things to go to. Maxi, like, I'm sure some nights he's hot, some nights he's cold. I get whatever. I'd rather him go out shooting than what was going on. But not just back to Doc with the substitution. Dwight Howard, 52 minutes or 53 minutes in the series, and minus 52, or 52 minutes in the series and a minus 53, whatever the number is. Point is, why did he see the floor in Game 7? Like, I think after the first 30, 40, 45 minutes, he knew maybe he just probably shouldn't see the floor in Game 7. Like, he's literally negative 1 point every minute he plays. Let's just you don't need analytics to bear out the plus minus. Like, that's pretty simple math here. So, like, why did he see the floor? It's just there. I mean, the comebacks, losing to a team they shouldn't have lost to in the series, losing at home in Game 7, his 15th game seven, his record breaking coaching in his 15th game seven. It's a guy who coached in his first game seven at home and you lost. I'm not a reactionary guy. I'm usually not one of these guys who's just like, you got to fire the coach. You got to get, like after 1 year. Like I think the Stan Van Gundy thing's crazy. Like that's how. There's my compassion. I'm like usually like to give these people more than not. This is what Doc Rivers is, and I don't want to be that. As a Sixers fan, I do. This is what I get the championship. I understand that. Outside of the 1 year that he had three superstars and they beat Kobe. Other than that, the original super team, excuse me, my allergies just all of a sudden popped up. Other than that, the original super team, Doc Rivers hasn't won much in the playoffs. So like I'm just kind of like, thanks, learned a lot. It was a fun year. You're not Daryl Morey's pick. Daryl Morey can get rid of you, and it's all good. And he can bring in the guy he wants, an offensive, better-minded coach. Because the offensive sets, I mean, where were they? Like at big points in games, the offense was literally, let's just see if Joel can make something happen. Let's see if our center can make something happen from the top of the three-point line. Let's just see if he can get the offense going. And if he can't, he's going to pass it to Seth Curry, who I like, but is like the seventh highest paid player on the team. When you have Tobias Harris out there, and the only reason you kept Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler is because you were like, well, Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons do a lot of the same stuff. Ben Simmons is actually much better than Jimmy at a lot of these things, even though Jimmy's kind of just as much of a dog on the defensive end when you need it. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler's a bad player. What I'm saying is similarities between Jimmy and Ben's game were the reason they picked Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler at the end of the day, was because they were like, Chris Middleton style, need you to shoot, need you to go lights out, need you to be the one. We don't have a superstar that's going to just be the sniper and draining the shots, so we're going to pay you the money to do that while our superstars do what they need to do and that make them superstars. Like Joel Embiid doesn't need to be something he's not at the end of games, and he was trying to do that, and he was working for a little bit, but that's not who he is. He's not a jump shooter. He's not those 3 points and the 3-pointer. I love to see it. I'm glad he can do it at the time he does. But at the end of the day, he's like a 33% 3-point shooter, which is great for his size. But that doesn't mean you want him shooting a bunch of them under 2 minutes to go in the basketball game. And that's also not when their offense is working best, because usually at that point, someone's in his grill, where a lot of his threes that he makes, even at 33%, are wide open. So Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons is much of the blame on at the end of game. I look. Ben, I'm a Ben defender. I have been. His role is not to score. His role is not to shoot. I've said it. The last video I said him missing free throws and leading to him not taking shots or being aggressive and trying to go to the rim is unforgivable. And yeah, I agree. They can't win a championship that way. It's just not going to work. When he had the ball underneath the rim and he got rid of it I can't defend you no more, dude. Like I get it. You felt somebody behind you. Trey was coming on the other side. I get it, but what were they going to do? Foul you? I mean, that was like you were put in that position, and like you did the most egregious thing. You ran from it. Um, that's a mental thing. He shot 70+%, and I forgot to look it up. I knew it back when he did it. He shot 70+% from the line a couple years ago in the playoffs, the year where they lost to Toronto in Game 7. He shot over 60 or 50% uh, the year before, if I'm not mistaken. But this year, 30 some percent. I mean, it's not. And then he was afraid to go to the line. I think he had to combine 3 shots in all 7 games in the fourth quarter from the field, like field goal attempts. I gave up on him taking a jump shot a long time ago because the organization made it clear he's not going to. But yeah, if he's not going to the rim and he's not, attempting to get 8 to 12 points a game, and that's really all he needs. The 4 points was just not enough. 6 points, getting closer. 8 points, all right, getting warm. 12 points, he pretty much stays that aggressive that he's making enough attempts to get 12 points a game. It opens up a lot for the outside shooters, which he was just wasn't doing, and it affected the assists. It affected a lot. The turnovers. I mean, a lot of that was Ben not doing what he did in the middle of the lane. So like, it's a stagnant offense. When he's afraid to take the ball under the rim and score, yeah, that offense is not good. It's scary, slow, and you're back to Seth and Joel. It's frustrating. It just the whole thing was just shouldn't have lost. Shout out to Trey Young again. I've given them all the credit in the world. Trey Young and the Hawks did what they were supposed to, did what they had to, made their shots. Herder and again, like Simmons on the defensive end, up and down. But at the end of the day, what did Trey Young look like in Game 7? Not the best from the field. He's a superstar. He's a guy. He is one of those guys who gets it done. But he has one of those kind of games you expect the Sixers to win. Last thing I'll talk about is Ben's future, because I have more to get into, more Sixers back and forth. I'm going to definitely do a show with Dwight at some point, probably after the conference finals, leading into the finals. I haven't run that by him, so. But Ben's future, I get the let's trade him for McCollum. I understand all the back and forth, the bunch of ideas. Two things. One, his value's never been so low, so I wouldn't trade him because of that. Just based on you're not going to get enough in return that all of us who've watched every game of his career, like this isn't a Markov Fultz situation where it's just like get whatever you can. He's still 24, second team All NBA, second overall in Defensive Player of the Year, first team defense. Like 4 years left on his contract. A lot of players are making $100 million in the NBA. So the fact that he, is $150 million over the next 4 years, sure, it doesn't look great. I'm not saying that's a fantastic contract or anything. I totally agree. But at the same time, what you would have to do to get value in return from him isn't worth it because no one's going to give you a player that's making near his money like straight up. So you're going to have to get creative. It's the process. I'm not saying Daryl Morey can't do it because he's an analytical money as well. He's really good with all that. He's really good with all of that. And he was willing, it sounds like, to trade Ben Simmons before the year. I don't know. He said he wasn't, but I don't know. But I wouldn't trade him because of the contract. I wouldn't trade him because it just doesn't make sense. You're not gonna get in, you got to figure out how to make value in return. You're not going to get enough actual good players in return. So what I would do with Ben Simmons' future, they're not going to fire Doc, even though I genuinely would be if they fired it. I don't want to be this. I don't want to do this. So I'm cool if they want to fire Doc and go get Meta World Peace or names are slipping out of my mind left and right now. I don't know, just somebody, D'Antoni, I apologize, with the offensive mind, any offensive minded people, somebody to help them a little bit run sets because there was no sets run at the big points of the series, at the end of games. It was just like I said before about the Embiid and Seth thing. So Embiid and then they would just find Seth and Seth would end up putting some shots up. So again, the future, what I would do with Ben, move him to forward. It helps the offense. It helps the sets. You got to get him to commit to moving to forward. Look at positionless basketball. So you're tell him to still bring the ball up half the time. You know what I mean? What he does now. But right now, in the playoffs, he was bringing the ball up and then just throwing it the second he got off the court. He might take 2 steps in the lane and then throw it away, but he wasn't going further than 1 or 2 steps in the lane. Again, that's back to the aggressiveness. And if you can get him to commit to going to the hoop every time and going to the line 50 times a game, who cares? Then okay. But if you can't get him to commit to that and he's just going to keep doing what he was doing, then he's got to go down and be a forward. Because Embiid can make some outside shots. So Embiid and him would almost be like Anthony Davis and Draymond Green if they played together, right? Where you'd one's not, neither of them are really a center, neither of them really a guard, neither of them really a forward. Embiid's a center, but you know what I mean. And Simmons can play underneath the basket. He can play right off the block a little bit and come in. There's a lot of things. but right on the baseline there. I mean, and come in a little bit. Like there's so many things that they could do if you moved him from point guard, which years ago I was advocating for it, and then they convinced me. Brett Brown and the rest of the organization definitely. The more I watched him, I was like, oh yeah, he's a great point guard. He's really that's awesome. I love it. No, you gotta get him down there. And it would be nice to see him get down there, honestly. Even just for part of the game, even if you do it half and half, and just open it up, mix it up a little bit, let Maxi be the ball handler. I think if anyone's got to go, trade Tobias because you can get some stuff for him in return. I think of equal value. You're gonna eat if you're gonna eat either of the contracts, eat his and just get a little less value in return. If that like that's if you're picking between the two. But if he stays, then you got him, Maxi bringing the ball up, Tobias and Simmons surrounding Joel, where Joel can go in and out of the lane. Seth or Green. Um, the options are there. So got to get another shooter. There's a lot open in the future, but again, with Ben, I would at least change his position. So again, I'll have a better conversation with Dwight on this. I'm upset, hurt, numb, mad. Can't even say go Phillies. Yeah, go Birds. Almost time, right? Go Eagles, right? Yeah. On to the next one now. So thank you for watching. I'll be talking more. Thank you, Jared Hood.